Yeah, so that was wonderful. I agree with almost everything Dave says, except I believe it was actually true. I believe what they ended up seeing was exactly what the flat earth model we would expect to see, just based on how perspective works for those of us in the northern hemisphere. We know what I call the law of perspective, and we can extrapolate that out to the southern locations. And a lot of people, such as myself, when I did the math, I figured that we're going to definitely be seeing a 24-hour sun. I didn't know how, but I was able to model out visually the point A from point B to light. And I put the sun on a dome because I believed refraction allows us to experience that. And this was before I even met Joe and knew Joe well, but Joe ended up creating a physical mechanism for what I would say I mathematically proved. And also what Dave was saying before too, the models all complement each other. Dave's app is not wrong, and I'm going to go into that later. If it was wrong, we'd be having a really awkward conversation. But so far, everything that everyone's been saying lines up. I know that what Dave is saying is true because it matches my app, and likewise, that's how we come to a cohesive model. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can't hear the audio, but Eric Dubé is even behind Joe's model now. So it's really, really nice to see that all the senior leaders in Flat Earth are behind moving forward with Flat Earth science. We don't need to deny the 24-hour sun. We don't need to deny that they're in a studio. And I think a lot of people are just out of fear because for a lot of our worldviews, we've always believed that it's not possible to go to Antarctica and there's no 24-hour sun because we just never been there to get the proper footage. So if you're going to deny it out of fear that it disproves flat Earth, please don't. But if you genuinely believe it was faked in a green screen and those are your reasons for denouncing it, then absolutely. I can only tell you how to think. I never want to tell someone what to think. And with that said, let me see if I can share screen and share audio. Perfect. Screen 2. Perfect.
Has long had models that explain a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, including Lady Blunt and Albert Smith's model in their 19th century book, Zetetic Astronomy. More recently, Joseph Henvey has also done excellent work constructing a demonstration using lights projected off a dome firmament showing exactly how an Antarctic 24-hour sun works on flat Earth. Using a two-way mirror to demonstrate a superfluid ceiling inside a dome over a flat Earth map, a flashlight is shined down to represent the sun moving over and around the Earth. As the sun circles its way from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator and outwards beyond, there is only one spotlight appearing in the sky. But as the flashlight widens its circuit outwards towards the Tropic of Capricorn, suddenly a second apparent projected sun appears and begins circling the opposite direction over and around Antarctica. Not only this, but since the projection is only apparent, it is based on the position of the observer.
Now this is important.
So as the camera moves 360 degrees around the outer circumference of the model, the 24
you can pause it if you want, and if you want to explain, because it's actually distorting when it's really at the edge of the dome, like looks like, right?
Not only that, understanding that within the toroidal radial magnetic field, we do have infinite south poles on our flat Earth. And that's very important to understand that why multiple people facing south with like their backs to each other, why they can still see a 24-hour sun, just the way it's circling. It will, for example, someone sees it directly south, the other person there, it would be their north. And it follows that very easy 360-degree pattern. And I'll be showing more videos on that as we go. But you can have, actually, I think Eric Dubé actually shows it. Just watch this.
The observer is located. Since we cannot see the entire expanse of the planetarium sky above,
it could be the wobble. Just a second, Steve. It could be the wobble of the same way the stars wobble in a personal dome at the southern part. Could be that the sun is also doing, or the retrograde, they call it.
Yeah, now the apparent position, just like the stars, is going to be that exact same thing you said. So if you can actually see in the video, you'll see the Southern Cross at right above them. Now, it would have been too bright for them to see that, but if it was dark, the Southern Cross would have actually been there. Now, for them, if I'm that observer, that would be my east. But for someone else, the Southern Cross would not be at that rotation. So imagine as you move 360 degrees around the outer edge of our flat Earth, you see that Southern Cross also rotate with you. So this is the laws of perspective and how this pattern holds true anywhere on flat Earth was one of the reasons how I knew that the sun would have to be visible. Now, one other thing I want to point out, since we can see the sun right now, in astronomy, I wish Joe was here because he can go into this in much more detail, but there's something called declination. It's a celestial coordinate that has nothing to do with the surface, but purely observer-centric. And that's what that grid represents. I'm reading some of the comments and people asked about that grid. That is a grid of perspective. It's of arbitrary length. And all it shows is an angle of elevation and a compass azimuth. It does not tell you the physical location of that. And this is actually how equatorial mounts work. If you're wondering how were they able to film the sun as it did that, they're literally using a flat Earth model. You enter into equatorial mounts, the declination of the sun. It's -23 in December. Every year it's going to be this. So you actually don't even need astronomical models to make this prediction. That's why in one of my videos called Flat Earth Math, I break it down, the very simple kind of law that I'm saying here, how we know no matter what there has to be a 24-hour sun, and it ended up matching exactly what the final experiment showed us. So that's why, and I could be biased because I'm the developer of this app, but if they were trying to fake it, they wouldn't have shown us exactly, even down to the compression that we see in Joe's model. I'll go into that later. Everything to me is 100% proof of flat Earth. Even those mountains in the background of Dave McKeegan's, you can see topographical data, and I've been analyzing that, and it would be too hard to fake. And I don't think they even need to fake it because their whole idea is that this doesn't work on flat Earth. And that's all they were kind of expecting. They didn't realize all of us to come together as a community and start realizing that, oh, it actually works perfectly fine on flat Earth. And we start realizing that Dave's app was never actually wrong. He calls it the GP. I don't like that term because it's like from a celestial navigation globe term. I use the term solar zenith, but it's the latitude and longitude physically where the sun is. So in another video, we zoom out and you see physically where the sun is. And that is exactly what Dave's app shows, except now with flat Earth science, we're going into the 3D view, trying to understand the optical path of light, the photons. How does it get from point A to point B? And that's what Joe has been doing excellent work on.
Here, each person
Stephen,
unique.
Yeah, sorry.
Stephen, how long have you been working on making this model, and how long has it been since you fine-tuned it to the point where we're talking about this right now?
Yeah, so I have a live stream where I went over all the development history. I use a Linux computer, so every time I push print screen, I get a photo with the timestamp. So I looked through all that, did a live stream, and it ended up being from April to November. So about a 7-month period where I begun with just like a flat plane and like a big sphere for the sun. And then my background is in enterprise application development, so more back-end functionless server-sided stuff. So this is essentially game development. You're learning game engines, how like your Xbox, or even with this model, my game controller allows me to control this. So if you purchase the software, you get all the features that I just wanted to have in it. But about 7 months, and because I'm self-employed, I took a lot of time. Like, I don't work 8 hours a day. I may only do 3 to 4 hours of actual like employment work, and then the rest of my time I get to teach people about flat Earth, learn more about this. I run the Flat Earth University, so I'm looking to put together courses like this where you'll take quizzes on what I'm saying now, and you need a passing grade. So I'm paying for this platform, but it's just like university or college. If you guys remember doing your online Moodle courses, how you just show up to a lecture and then everything else is just online. That's kind of your first year of university, that's the experience I'm looking to put together. And my background professionally is in computer science, which gives me kind of a unique insight to be able to like do this. And even the multiple observers, which you'll see later, has never been done before. It's like progressing flat earth science 7 years forward, since Walter Bislin, who was a glober, was the last person to try to put this model together. But he did it to troll all of us, because what he did is actually very clever. He used a reverse engineered heliocentric model to derive only the angled elevation and azimuth. So you know how I was mentioning declination? This is an equatorial astronomical model. So it goes beyond what we had in Walter Bislin's, which is only the sun, moon, and Polaris. We have planets. We have a map with everything. So yeah, I'm very proud of this. And the app is on Android right now for free. So you can get the free version and experience the 24-hour sun right now. And if you want to support the project, you can pay and get planets similar to the other flat earth apps that exist.
Congratulations, bro. Pretty fantastic. Do you have a link you can put in the chat?
Yeah, good work.
Put your links up, guys. You too, psychedelic. Put your links up, you guys, before it gets late.
Yeah, let me put
in the middle here.
Website up. You'll want to go to the menu tab and select like pro academic, but I'm not sure if it'll work on mobile phones. I designed my websites more around computers. So let me drop the link for the free version. And the reason I'm not promoting the pro today is because Google takes like 24 hours for a sale to be approved. So there's going to be a 30% discount in like 12 hours. It might be tomorrow. But I want you guys to test out the free app. You can set your location actually to Union Glacier. So something really cool. You guys might be used to the Flat Earth Pro app, that really nice bird's eye view app that all the Flat Earth groups use, but you can't put your location beyond the 60-degree south parallel. Now, me as a programmer, the only reason I can think of that is because he did it himself, realized it showed a 24-hour sun, and he figured it would have debunked his own model. Whereas for me, I saw it and I realized as long as my math is correct, which it was, then no, this actually is what we're going to expect. And that's why people like me and Joe Hanvey were so cocky prior to the final experiment. We're like telling Will Duffy, no, the flat earth model kind of actually requires a 24-hour sun. And you can make the argument that the globe having no firmament, you don't get dome refraction. I don't know how you get like to wrap around to cover like 70% of Earth. So a lot of this phenomenon has an explanation that makes perfect sense to me on flat earth, and I see no problem with that. So before I start playing again, is there any other questions?
Go ahead, bro.
Fantastic, bro. Thank you.
Let me just go a little back. It's really cool how Eric, when he says transitions in. So let me just go back.
Here in Antarctica, the observer is located.
Oh, and you guys can hear it, right? It doesn't sound like it's coming through my microphone.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, let's finish this video.
Perfect.
Since we cannot see the entire expanse of the planetarium sky above us, our eyes create an apparent sky dome, as shown here. Each person has their own unique sky dome perspective based on where and when they are observing from. We know this to be true from the fact that 3 people in 3 different locations will observe the same sun appearing differently. One will see the sun rising, another will see the sun set.
Now, this is what has never been done before, the ability to plot multiple observers. Even globe apps like Stellarium, Sky Safari, they limit you to that first-person view, don't let you zoom out, and it's just really unique what I did. I don't believe there's any astronomical software, at least publicly known of, the government might have this, but for us to now be able to do this really shows them what Eric Dubé is saying. You can 100% see that obviously the sun's not coming out of the water or the land. When we see a sunrise or sunset, our perspective makes us think it's coming out of the land. And if you believe in like the Book of Enoch portals, they describe this concept right here, the celestial sphere, our perspective grid, the portals, you could say, but this is how perspective works. And it makes so much sense. As you can see, as the sun moves closer to the dome, the light wraps around, and with the refraction, it's not just daylight, but the actual photon of the sun. Now, does this mean they felt heat? It seems like it. So That's why I argue refraction and not reflection, just so that makes sense.
Setting, and another between them will see the sun at its apex overhead, proving that everyone sees their own personal perspective of the sun's current location, and not its actual location. This is also why all the stars in the celestial sphere move the same direction around us east to west, but depending on where the observer is located and what direction they're facing, a second circle of stars will appear.
So you might, if you ever heard of flatearth.ws, they use this meme style to try to debunk us, but then I kind of edit their memes and show why it actually makes perfect sense on a flat Earth. So a lot of people will try to deny the South Celestial Pole. If you're listening to someone who does that, they either don't fully know their astronomy or who knows why, but we have flat earthers in New Zealand, Australia, who film that counterclockwise or whatever clockwise rotation. So we do know that a south celestial pole in infinite direction south makes 100% sense because we have that radial magnetic field and the torus field as well. You can actually map it out to that. So if you're on the equator, that grid of perspective balances that arc.
Moving around the other way. We can see Polaris, Ursa Major and Minor, and other northern constellations from every point north of the equator simultaneously, but conversely, cannot see the so-called South Pole star, Sigma Octantis, the Southern Cross, or other outer constellations simultaneously from every point south of the equator, because they all sweep over a great southern arc from their rise in the evening to their setting.
So this is also important to understand. So the circle at the bottom is just the compass south. I want you to know that this is due south, not slightly off of south, due south. And the other circle, that's the Southern Cross. So this is Chile and New Zealand, both facing south at the exact same time. All that's different is the rotation, because you're looking at the bottom of the firmament. So I don't know if I'm explaining it too complex, but you can all watch these videos later or screenshot this down. I'll post the master link in the chat because I have someone said it's globe model data. This is observer-centric data. So apps like Stellarium used for this screenshot are not making any geographical claims. It's just that celestial sphere.
Yeah, Will Duffy said that. He claimed that.
Claimed what?
He
rejected people's submissions who used Stellarium, but the whole reason was that he wanted people who could make a mathematical argument. So I'll go into the 3 final experiment submissions because, as a lot of you guys might know, Will Duffy actually announced my name live from Antarctica over several videos, and
I've seen it. Yeah,
really was kind of cool because not a lot of flat earthers wanted to submit math, and even globers, they didn't publicly release their submissions. Where mine's all on my website, Journal of Geocentric Cosmology. And even when I noticed a mistake, because to type up formulas, you do something called latex or however you do it, but I made mistakes, but I didn't remove it. I edited a new PDF. So you can see when I noticed a mistake and fix it. And it's really, really cool because it kind of shows us that flat earth math is not that ridiculous. We can accurately measure distances. We can accurately predict sunrise and sunsets. And another weird one was the distance between meridians, like the distance between like these 2 points. But on flat earth, everything works well. And when they release their findings publicly, my results were really close to what they claimed as well. And that's why Will Duffy got really upset and triggered at that. But I did do flat planar trig, and you can look at my work and see Will Duffy actually didn't want to show my equations public because I show, for example, what the globe Haversine formula looks, and then I show my flat earth distance formula where we have like a fluid ether framework in Lorentz length contractions. I have a really complicated model that I'll go into later when we have some more time if you guys are still interested and want to hang around.
For sure.
One thing before we continue, Steve. So the Stellarium, these people are claiming that the Stellarium is a globe app, but what is Stellarium is exactly doing? It's just a projection of the central sky.
So if you open a celestial almanac, you'll see what's called right ascension and declination. That's all Stellarium's doing. And it's also really what my app's doing as well. These observer-centric coordinates are just that. And for us in the flat earth community, we actually argue it's a right angle triangle. So it strengthens our point. But where it gets interesting is when you then make an actual model. So there are apps like Universe Explorer 3D that are solar system models. Stellarium's not that. They don't let you zoom out. But the only difference between a globe model, a flat Earth model, a hollow Earth model is that you take these observer-centric coordinates, right, ascension and declination, and then transform it onto whatever map. For me, I believe the Gleason map is 100% accurate. If we were to go up in space, like stand on top of the firmament and look down, that is 100% what the world's going to look like. So for me, I transform my coordinates on this map because we have the longitude and latitude. And just like on a globe model, they transform the exact same coordinates here. But the data layer and the visualization layer are completely different. And if you don't believe me, we can go into the flat Earth math video later because it's calculations that you can do right now. You look where the sun is with your protractor, see an angle, and then from that, anywhere else in the world, you can know whether the sun will be visible or not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And adding to that, right? So the stellarium is only projecting the central sky in a 3D holographic view so that the people think they are watching the star constellation on apps like Stellarium on a globe. But in
Yes.
reality, it's just a projection of a central sky above a personal dome. That's what it
And it's
is.
not as good as the flat Earth model because we have Stellarium. In this view, there's a button you can click to see that little person. You can see out his eyes. So you can go to Stellarium, compare these side by side, and the observer-centric observations match. Where we disagree is how our universe works. So me, Dave, most of us, we believe the sun is physically at the latitude and longitude of what's called the solar zenith. Now, since we're just talking about that, there's actually a one-to-one relationship between the celestial coordinate and the geographical latitude. For example, right now in December, the sun has a celestial declination of -23. Guess where that is on flat Earth? -23 degrees latitude. And I'm not making this up. You can Google right now the sun's solar zenith, and then also Google the sun's declination, celestial declination. To be very clear, this is sky coordinates. But we find these beautiful one-to-one relationships that, in my opinion, can only happen on a flat Earth, or take a flat Earth, wrap it around a ball, and those are the two options that make 100% sense to me.
But conversely, cannot see the so-called South Pole star, Sigma Octantis, the Southern Cross, or other outer constellations simultaneously from every point south of the equator, because they all sweep over a great southern arc from their rise in the evening to their setting in the morning. All of this just goes to show that regardless of what the sun, moon, and stars look like or what they're doing over our heads, has no bearing on what the Earth looks like or what it's doing under our feet.
Now, I want to mention that since it just popped up. Unlike Duffy, I'm a third party making my own documentary called Glurfs on Ice. So because I've been formally mentioned as a participant, I'm able to use the fair use laws that allow me to start now analyzing their footage. And just so you have an idea, I've been looking at topographical data from public records, comparing it to their GPS data, and then trying to analyze their live footage. So the documentary is not just going to be all their clips stitched together. You can find that yourself. The documentary I'm releasing is going into how we know this is real or fake. If it's fake, it'll end up being a moon landing documentary. But if it's real, it ends up showing us how they proved the flat Earth model, whereas their documentary is going to show the exact same footage, but they're going to try to say it proved the globe Earth. So Glurfs on Ice, you can find that on my YouTube channel as well. It'll be streaming for free January 4th. There'll be Blu-rays you can pre-order, books as well. It'll be a good learning resource because similar to the math and stuff I'm saying, we have to understand why this proves flat Earth. Don't believe me that it proves flat Earth. That's the worst thing you can do, and that's partly the reason why so many of us just assumed, yeah, there's no 24-hour sun. We never really wanted to look into the math and dig into it. And I love math and science. I strongly believe that's how we know the Earth has to be flat. And as we start understanding more of the celestial phenomenon, we get more confident. And for example, this picture right up here, Joe's model shows the sun's compressing. You can play back his video and see as it circles around, it does exactly what Dave McKeegan's did. You can't fake that. Like, I don't think Joe is in on it. Dave McKeegan's not in on that. And if they're faking it in a studio, let's say they're in the Las Vegas sphere. I've heard that ridiculous thing. They're going to have a circular sun. It'll be what they always say, the sun's angular size never changes. That's what they say, but that's not what they're showing us. We saw, if this is real, 100% proof of both a flat earth and a dome firmament. So many people don't want to believe that there's a firmament over them, but that's required for the dome refraction. When light shines through a dome firmament, that's the only way to get this. We can't really argue reflection. We can't argue perspective. We have to start invoking what I'm calling dome refraction, and what I've also heard Joe describe as well. Light shines through the firmament, and it's not just limited to a glass dome or a plastic dome. Don't let people strawman that. We don't know the refractive indexes of the firmament, how it changes on different heights, but we know 100% that there is refraction happening. And as far as I can tell, the point of refraction is on the dome above that solar zenith. So, for example, on Dave's app, you've seen the sun doing circles. The sun is still there, but what I'm now looking into is the height. Physically, where is it? Is it moving straight? And what I found is it climbs up and down the firmament. So when the sun's in the tropic of, it'd be Cancer, it's at the highest point of the dome. Likewise, when we're doing the tropic of Capricorn, it's at the lowest point of the dome.
Like the cone, like the Christmas tree, right?
Sorry?
Right.
What was that, Vika?
I said like a cone or a Christmas tree, like the sun making its journey, right?
Yeah, yes, 100% that, except a parabolic shape. So for those of you who like math, it's a parabola. You would have learned this in high school. So it's really cool how we see kind of the mathematician behind God. So I do believe that we are created. Dome firmaments don't pop out of big bangs. So we are created in whichever religion you believe in. That's perfectly fine. But it does seem that we have to have a dome over us. The 24-hour sun can't happen unless light's shining through a dome.
Nice.
Yeah, looking forward to the Gloves on Ice stream, Steven.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait either. It's going to be awesome. Now, I have a quick little video. It's just 60 seconds just of my app kind of showing why it's so special in just a 60-second video.
So this allows multiple observers. This is something that's never been done before, and it's how we know it's an accurate model. When you're doing globe math, it becomes impossible to take what I did and wrap that around the ball. This is how we know that we have an accurate model. Let's do something right now. If I could just go anywhere, and let's see if we can move around again.
Yo, Steven, are you making the music too? Do you produce the beat?
No,
Do this.
but I do have the license for all of this. So Vika 2, if you're worried about getting a YouTube strike, in the description of all my videos, I have the copyright. But no, these are other instrumentals that people produce copyright free. But I choose the music based on how I feel. So as you saw, I get kind of pumped up with that. And that was kind of the emotions behind that. But then for this one here, where we do a side-by-side of...
I was liking that one. That one was fire.
Actually, this one's pretty cool because you see the torus field. This is what I'm talking about. So a lot of you guys who are familiar with the toroidal geometry of Earth, this tells us why we have a north celestial pole and a south celestial pole. Globers like to use that as kind of a talking point against us. But in my defense, those south and rotating different directions can only happen on a flat Earth with this torus field that a lot of people say radiates out of Mount Meru. I don't know, but it does radiate. It's a radial magnetic field. And you can look this up. There's infinite south poles, and that's not ridiculous to say. That's a well-known scientific fact. A radial magnetic field has infinite south poles. Oh, no, that's not the video I want to show you. Yeah, this is the video I want to show you. Yeah, so as soon as I saw Dave McKeegan's footage, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I predicted.
We just got Dave McKeegan's time-lapse footage of the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and it's doing exactly what the Flat Earth model predicted it would do. This is fascinating. This is a big win for Flat Earth, even right now as it starts climbing up through their arc of vision. Look at that. Every prediction made by the Flat Earth model has come true.
That's a catchy tune too, also, Steven. Yeah, and this is one thing that I was explaining to a lot of people also as well, where they were kind of having trouble comprehending, was that you were just showing one perspective right there. I think I'm assuming that was at Union Glacier.
Yeah.
And so that would happen. That would be manifested all around the ice wall. And no matter where you're at, that horizon diagram, if there were multiple people positioned all around the ice wall, they would all get that same visual of the sun.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So no matter where you are facing south, you end up seeing that.
Yeah, a lot of people were having trouble understanding that. But yeah, this gives more support to the fact of what I was saying. I was telling the guys that it would be a lot more, it'd be nice if we had more boots on the ground instead of just having them camped at one position. So if there were multiple people doing this same experiment all around the ice wall, on the Antarctic ice wall, I think we would even get a little bit more and better insight into, what the sun is doing.
And I believe other people were filming the sun during that same time that they did their, wasn't 24 hours. I think it's like 30 or 70. I have no clue how long they continually filmed it. But other people in other parts of the world were filming that sun. And based on their location and the angle they saw it, we can validate. Same reason we could predict the exact what it did at Union Glacier. We can apply that anywhere else. Let's say you're on the opposite side of the world. In the video we just watched, when the Union Glacier sun was at the lowest angle of elevation, it might have been 14. Over there, they would see the sun at the highest angle.
Highest. Yeah. Right.
And when you see those patterns, I might play a video shortly, but I did a video recently in 4K resolution where I use my model. The academic version is different than the Google Play version because obviously the screen on your phone is small. So when I do my educational content, and even people like Shane St. Pierre, who used to use the Walter Bislin model, he now has a license for this. So his content now is going to be made at the top, highest standard that exists. So it's really fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You want to share something else? Because the globers are going to have a problem replicating this 24-hour sun in the southern pole, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's fake. I think they knew it would be real, and at worst, if they did any fakery, it would be something like spraying chemtrails in the sky so that they got that perfectly blue view. I think they knew what, and that's the thing, their model is reverse engineered from ours. That's why websites like Time and Date make accurate predictions for most of the time, because people who made the globe model are very, very smart. And I know that making my model, because the celestial mechanics of how any astronomical model work is complex, smart but evil. I don't want you guys to think they're good people. They're just intelligent people. And that's why even other people who are university professors, other smart people, fall for this and get deceived. You're not necessarily dumb because you got tricked into the globe. You just never got taught flat earth science.
Oh yeah, like psychedelic says, right? The kinematic equivalence. You want to expand on that psychedelic a bit?
Yeah, this is one thing I've said multiple times before, is that and this is where I think most of the deception comes from, is that both globe and flat Earth models, they're kinematically equal. So a lot of the phenomena that we see in the sky happening is equivalent to what we see happening on the flat Earth model. It's just different explanations. And, you know, I've talked about this with the guys on the TikTok lives, and, you know, and this is another thing that, you know, globe proponents have a hard time comprehending. They're so in tune into one understanding that it's hard for them to transition and switch the comprehension to the flat Earth model.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Astronomically, most of us agree on the same stuff. It's only the surface that's the major disagreement, and it's what they will never actually measure, and they try to misrepresent our models to trick us.
Hey, but you know what? Psychedelic, that stuff is so embedded in our minds, in our psyche, in our language, in our thoughts, and it's hard for even us to let go of the language and the descriptive terms. I still catch myself saying, "Oh, on the planet." Been a while, you know, but I'm getting better and better, and I think it's good to let go of that terminology, though.
Yeah, one example for me is, you know, before I was getting real big into flat Earth and geocentrism, I would make my videos, and people would criticize me, saying, "Oh, you're saying north and southern hemisphere. You're talking about the top and the bottom part of the ball." And so, you know, I actually took that into consideration. Now I call it the northern and the southern extremities.
Nice.
For example.
That's great. Yeah, you know, you guys were struggling for something before, the reflection or refraction. You know, just like you said right now, maybe we need to come up with a whole new system and vocabulary and descriptive terms. You know, we'll have our own dictionary.
I've been working on that. Yeah, that's something that's in my mind every single day when I'm, you know, making my content. Absolutely, man. You know,
nice.
and
One
keep
more
a list of stuff like that separate, bro, and just keep adding and adding and adding.
Yeah, one more. I'll throw in one more example of what you guys are talking about, and I've tried not to use the word predictions anymore and just use the word pattern or patterns.
Okay.
It's not a prediction. It's a well-known pattern that, you know, the ancients knew thousands of years ago. So, you know, the NASA's not predicting the next eclipse. You know, Flat Earth has the pattern for the next eclipse.
No, it's right, Keith. That's like, you know, me predicting tomorrow's going to be Monday. I know that. It's not a prediction.
Yeah, and you know, another thing is going back to what Stephen and what David said is that, you know, they have so many stations down there in Antarctica that, you know, they have the data, you know, for decades, you know, so they knew what the pattern of the sun was doing, you know, so it's just like the whole entire public was deceived for the mere fact that they took advantage of them being down there since, I don't know, whenever Road and Amundsen set up shop down there, you know, years ago, decades ago. Long time ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Who knows where else they have things set up? I'm convinced they don't tell us everything. So why am I going to believe that this is all they have and it's everything they're showing us also? I don't believe nothing they tell us, really.
Oh, yeah, brothers, the mechanical realm, I could say what I'm seeing is like the mechanical realm is too ahead of its time. This is what I can say, what coming out the things, right? So other thing I wanted to discuss is, you remember we were sharing all these images of guys from Antarctica claiming 24-hour sun, right? Psychedelic. And then I pointed out this thing also, a sundial, a 24-hour sundial, right? Did anybody else look into this? Or even Jaren or other team members and everything that pointed out there exists a 24-hour sundial, because we have the North Hemisphere sundials, we have the Southern Hemisphere sundial, and we have a 24-hour sundial. People should have looked into it, right?
Is that from their trip, the photo you're showing right now?
No, this is from another guy from Antarctica.
Okay, so they did bring one then. I wasn't sure if that was it, but yes, they did bring a sundial with them, and we're going to get that data as well. So it would be pointed 80 degrees up from their horizon, probably pretty much what that one is.
Yeah, but the thing I'm asking is, did the people or the flat earther or the community or the globe earther knew that there's a 24-hour sundial that exists?
I'm not familiar with the term 24-hour sundial. I would call that just a regular celestial pole sundial. So you know those little grids of perspective that I was showing you? There's a top, like where Polaris is, for example. You point that to Polaris, or you point it roughly to the Southern Cross in that little south celestial pole.
Yeah, but we have in the northern hemisphere, we have sundials which are half, in a way. It's showing the shadow of half of the circle, and that's the opposite. The way it's laid in southern hemisphere are different because of the shadow have to be different, right?
The
In the
angle
southern
that
hemisphere,
you position it is depending on your latitude. Now, you're right, though. There are several different types of sundials, but the only type I'm familiar with is the one where you align it to your latitude. If your latitude is 80 degrees, you point it 80 degrees up.
right. And what we are seeing here is, you can see that there's a geographical location below pointing at the geographic east, west, north, south, and then you have a sundial which moves a 360-degree shadow. That's what I'm pointing out. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is what we would expect to see.
Cool. So yeah, you want to share something, or I can play a clip to have a short break kind of thing.
I got a clip too that I can play for a short break. It
okay.
It's up to 27 minutes. I can preview it right now in the share screen if you want.
Or maybe a few minutes, so that we have a small break, 5 minutes, if you want to play something.
Okay.
And then we can continue with the whatever you want to share.
I got the perfect thing for a 5-minute break. Yes, let's do that. Let me know when to push play. Do you guys see the video yet? Or Vika, you might have to pull it in.
There, it's loading.
Awesome. So yeah, you have exactly a 5-minute break. I'm going to go to the washroom too. Actually, I won't mute my mic because I think that might stop.
Yeah, same. Quick bathroom break.
Alonzo has introduced a groundbreaking app, the Firmament Tracker's Flat Earth Model, which has rapidly gained popularity within the Flat Earth community after predicting the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Influential voices such as Flat Earth Dave, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, and Keith Cameron have taken notice and praised its innovative approach. Patricia Steer aptly describes it as the same but different, highlighting how Alonzo's work complements rather than contradicts existing flat Earth models. Alonzo emphasizes that his app builds on the foundational work laid by pioneers like Mark Sargent and David Weiss. For example, David Weiss's Flat Earth Clock app accurately illustrates the movement of the sun's solar zenith across longitude and latitudes, a principle that remains fully intact in Alonzo's model. However, the Firmament Tracker's Flat Earth app goes beyond introductory concepts, offering advanced 3D modeling tools to explore phenomena such as the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. David's app is an excellent introduction to flat Earth cosmology, serving as both an introductional tool and a social media platform, Alonzo explains. My app, on the other hand, is a research tool for those ready to dive into the more complex aspects of flat Earth science. Both apps serve different purposes and complement one another perfectly. To frame this evolution in scientific terms, Alonzo likens the relationship between his work and that of Sargent and Weiss to the transition from Newtonian mechanics to Einstein's theory of relativity. Newton wasn't wrong. His work laid the foundation for everything Einstein later developed, Alonzo explains. Similarly, Mark and David's contributions remain valid and essential. My app simply opens the doors for deeper exploration. The Firmament Tracker's Flat Earth app is available in a free version, ensuring accessibility for those who wish to explore its advanced features without financial barriers. However, Alonzo advises that the app is best suited for users with a foundational understanding of the flat Earth sciences. If you're new to flat Earth, I'd recommend starting with David Weiss's app. It's the perfect entry point. In summary, Alonzo's work doesn't disprove earlier flat Earth models, but builds upon them, validating and extending their principles. By advancing the field, the Firmament Tracker's flat Earth model represents an exciting new chapter in flat Earth science. I want to spend a quick minute going over some pages here from the Flat Earth Science textbook. I wrote this as a testament to the Flat Earth Sciences being a one-stop resource for everything you'd ever need to know in this field of science. We go over compasses and the different type of magnetic fields, how that works on our flat Earth. We go over different cosmological models, making sure we don't confuse ourselves by strawmanning it. We do a mathematical analysis of the orbits and speeds. We go over gravity as well on this page, looking at how it works on an infinite plane and why we can't use a floating disk. Celestial navigation is also lots of fun. We learned how to do that. We also take a look at optics and how the tricks they had to use to make the globe model. We also get a mathematical formula now for calculating the exact height of the sun and moon. And we also look at the plasma moon theory, the geography around that, and how other phenomena such as the pole shifts would happen. Thank you all who purchased the hardcover textbooks. I'm now excited to announce that the PDF ebook is going to be released now. This is the same 173 pages, except now you have access to all the digital features, such as being able to highlight over something in the table of contents and having it preview, and then clicking on it to be instantly brought to that page. So we have the table of contents on the left as well, so you can scroll around and click on something you want to learn about, and then also you can search through the text. So you can type in, let's say, 24-hour sun and see the different sections of the book that are referencing it, and simply just click on it to learn more about that. This is available for only $10, and it's an ebook, which is very powerful. You can put it on your phone, on your computer. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Have a great day.
We are now returning back from that 5-minute break. We'll pass it back to Vika, but I'm just going to get the next video presentation ready so that you guys know what the next topic will be.
Yeah, so absolutely. Yesterday also on Twitter, on the space, on space in Sacred. Yeah, by the way, shout out to Sacred, Flat Earth Fridays. Right? There were some guys who were like trying to question how would it work the night and the day, right? How would you have in Chile, in that part of being night and having that illumination on the flat Earth? But we should also question how it's going to work on the globe Earth, right?
It works almost the exact same. So we believe that perspective rises and falls by about 1 degree of every 69 miles you move. We all know this by Polaris. For example, if you're at the North Pole, Polaris is straight above you, and as you move away, it apparently declines due to perspective. Just like as you're watching trees on a train track, they all decline and converge. So, sorry, what were you saying again? I just lost my train of thought.
The shadow, how's the night and the day with the 24-hour sun being there and being a night? Yeah.
So that same law of perspective applies. If you're in Buenos Aires, in Chile, I think it was 50 latitude. They were negative 50 degrees south, whereas Union Glacier is actually really far away at negative 80. So you have 30 degrees of latitude they're traveling, and then multiply that by 69 degrees. They went a really far distance, and so if there's 30 units they traveled, it goes down 1 degree every 30 times. So they would have saw it go out of their perspective.
It's like 2,000 miles.
Yeah, they flew a long way. It's not close at all. That's just the closest place to get there. But like Chile is right there, and they went like way down here on the Gleason map. You can see where the negative 80 is. It's quite a good distance.
Right.
Oh, also could be with the electromagnetic field that this light is not reaching and creating that darkness between these two locations?
So the cause could be attributed to that toroidal geometry, absolutely. It could also just simply be the way light shines through a dome. The mechanism, the physical mechanism, is what we're exploring now. So Joseph Hanvey's research would be the best way to look into that. I'm more of a math guy, so I can argue what will happen mathematically on our flat Earth, but I don't have the physics background to fully know like the mechanism for how it's working.
So, and how long have you known
Cool.
Joe for?
I met Joe in the Firmament Trackers Facebook group. So as a lot of you guys may know, most Facebook groups are completely toxic, and it's hard to find normal people that actually want to study flat Earth and learn about it. So when I came across the Firmament Trackers, the admin, Chris Cooper, posted it in one of the groups. I saw it. It was small at the time, only about 200 people, but I just love that community because there are people who are actually taking photos of the stars at night. I mentioned earlier, I think, how we have like 100 people who would all take a photo of the moon at one time.
Yeah,
And just,
I was part of one of those.
I think I was with you on a live chat. You look familiar with your background. I think Emma, too, is one of my friends that we were all together. And I think I even showed you my model when I was first developing it. If that's you, I don't know.
Cool, I'm not sure either, bro. I'll tell you the truth, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So the Firmament Trackers group, if you're still a part of it, yeah, it's one of the best groups that I've been in. And then talking to people like Joe, who has all these high-powered telescopes looking up at the wandering stars, confirming that what I'm saying is true, confirming what he's saying is true. People in the southern hemisphere, Chris Cooper, for example, taking pictures from New Zealand of the South Celestial Pole. So I just found so many people who are actually intelligent, smart, not trolling, just actually wanted to understand, collect data. And it really motivated me to want to get more back into flat Earth. I've been around for 5 years, and answering the same questions over and over again, it gets tiring, and all the toxic trolls trying to harass you and dox you. It is really, really draining. So to find
it's exhausting.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is.
And then Emma mentioned to me making like a Firmament Trackers branded group because we have beliefs ourselves. Like, for example, the 24-hour sun, we believed that even before it was known. So we wanted a model that can kind of represent all of our beliefs. We're one of the few flat Earth groups that knew, almost expected there to be a 24-hour sun. And other beliefs I have, like Earth being an infinite plane, I don't believe we're on a floating disk in space. Just a lot of those stuff kind of got put into this model to represent how I think most of us believe the universe works.
And psychedelic, how about you, bro? How long have you guys known each other now, and how long have you known Joe? I'm curious because you guys are converging with the same ideas from different places.
You know, I would have known Joe maybe 3 months into the Firmament Trackers, and he's an admin now. We both joined when we were no longer admins, so we're like leaders now of this group.
Right. So is it less than a year?
Less than a year, absolutely. When I first got into Joe was the first time Joe posted just a casual video of him just shining a flashlight over a dome. And it blew my mind because people aren't doing that. It's maybe only been done, like there's 5 videos I could find. I looked around online. Flat Earth Dave did it once. A guy named Living Water did it once. But it was never a field of study that anyone was really looking at. Or Joe, he was seriously like 100% dead set. I don't know if he was like inspired by God or what. He was just drawn to it, that he knew that domes and light were the secret to progressing flat Earth knowledge forward. And looking at his videos, it got really popular, and a lot of Globers were harassing him. He had to take down some videos, but he put it into a really cohesive model now.
It's the ether, guys. It's the ether. The information is in the right time in the ether. That's why people are automatically connecting, right? There are, as Steve, as Psychedelic, as Joe, there are more other guys, Tomb of Illumination, right? There are many other people where, even like I mentioned, Iron Horse, who was mentioning about the Lucy like a diamond in the sky, right? Everybody's getting that download together that this can manifest, right?
It's awesome. If I didn't have Joe, I could not argue a physical mechanism. I can only argue mathematically based off of my observer-centric observations. That's how I can extrapolate out a model. But it's wonderful seeing Joe have a physical optical model. Like, I don't even know where to get a firmament from. Like, he says they're expensive glass domes, and I believe him because it's like solid glass. He has plastic ones. It's
You have to like $400 or $500.
You have to believe in it, and it's dedication.
Yeah, that's probably not an ordinary kitchen bowl.
No.
Right?
Together with all this, the Antikythera mechanism, the mechanical RAM, the wheels within the wheels, there's a lot still to come out from that analog device. Even that wobble or retrograde or prograde or everything is there, right? So maybe we can even combine, apart from the digital and the optical model, we can even combine with the devices like Antikythera mechanism, because it's a cosmograph. The Antikythera mechanism device is known as a cosmograph. What is a cosmograph? It's just telling it's graphing the cosmos. So it could be also a good, how do you say, combination between digital, optical, and analog, right? Opens more door.
Yeah, so with me, the way it kind of happened was, so I was like meeting everybody that I'm like on the panel, like kind of just happened like really recently, like all you guys. But I've been a little bit more closer with Shane St. Pierre and been talking and exchanging ideas back and forth with him. So I made a 24-hour sun in Antarctica video back in June of this year because he was throwing around ideas and he had kind of like a conceptual idea of it, the coffee cup caustic. And so I made a video back then, but then like as time went on and it started moving more towards the end of the year, I found Firmament trackers. It was just suggested to me, found Steven. I just messaged him randomly out of the blue. I don't know if you remember that, Steven. Just got a hold of him because I seen what he was posting and I was like, this is what I've been trying to say for so long. And then so he had the mathematical model and so started meeting Joe and Aloha just kind of got attracted to me and you as well, Vika. And it just domino affected from there. And once I seen Joe's model and had the visuals from Steven's model, I was able to come up with a more conclusive and in-depth explanation, which is how I came up with my most recent video that everyone's been pretty much sharing and going off of. So just like how Steven said, we all kind of came together and it was just, I think it was God's will, to be honest.
Yeah, bro. This is like Vika just said. The wheels are turning, and we're starting to understand in a different way that the ether is working for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
this one that Vika showed, not this one, Vika. This isn't my best one. This was I think maybe a month or two back. This is the one that was like the precursor to my main one that I got up on the top of my TikTok profile now. But yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the help of Joe and Steven, so it was kind of like a trifecta. But like this was the beginning of it because like I was using in this video that you're showing right now, I used the information that I had from months ago in June. And then I was able to apply that to I got the image of the Firmament Trackers app down there. Steven came out with the multiple observers. And so I was slowly piecing together the information. But this video that you got up here right now isn't really all strictly contributing to the 24-hour sun. I go into the differential motions between the north and the south in here, and the difference between the analemma of the sun and the moon in here. And then like the end of it, I go into the 24-hour sun. But my most recent, which is my first pinned video on my TikTok profile, it's 24 minutes of talking about how the 24-hour sun will manifest, how the sun is a conical refraction and from the black sun. And it just kind of domino affected, it just, I thought it was actually kind of insane how fast we all came together, to be honest.
That's the beauty when they let the internet out, they get the information, but so do we, bro.
Yeah.
So we got to use what we can to do what we're doing. So.
And one thing I want to add to that is on the, dude, I was so like stressed because I was just like, I'm always trying to one up what I did before. And like, I always felt like the videos that I did wasn't enough. You know, the video I did back in June, I just had like a couple of visualizations from Shane St. Pierre. It was just depicting the coffee cup caustic. But what had happened was, it was when we were exchanging videos about a month or two ago, Vika, when we found the Everyday Antarctica profile. And so I was bedbound. I would just study those videos, and I was looking at them, and I was like, you know, how can I explain this and put this in a way to where it sounds legitimate? And it just took up all my time every day for weeks. You know, I was just like, how am I going to piece this together? That's all I was doing. I was like addicted to being able to come up with a good explanation. And I finally did, thanks to Steven and thanks to Joe. You know, so we're a team. It's a team effort.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, brother. Do you know about this, Steven? This is a planisphere, a digital planisphere. You can even buy a card planisphere, right? So it's
Yeah.
just the map of the sky, right? It's
So
the
if you were to
real with.
pull
Yeah.
it up and like place it on a dome, that's exactly what my model would be. This is just a 2D bird's eye view. But yeah, Polaris in the center, it's rotating once every 24 hours, 15
Exactly.
degrees an hour. People get confused thinking that's the Earth's rotation, but no, there's as he was mentioning prior, a kinematic equivalence. Anything a glober will tell you, listen to, but then learn how it actually works in real life.
Right. Yeah. Because the models, they depict the same phenomena, you know, and I think that's how the globe was so intelligently thought of, because they had all that information at their disposal, you know, but then it was just they had hundreds of years and hundreds of years of being able to look at that flat Earth data, to look at geocentrism, and it works on both models, but the explanations are they're slightly differentiated.
Yeah, if you believe in the resets and mud floods and stuff, we might only have 500 years where they got thousands on us. So to even think of that, like we're still trying to catch up and relearn everything, where they might have had the same knowledge that they've been passing down longer than we've had the ability to start learning about it.
Yeah, the resets are good, guys, because that's when, you know, they started bringing the kids around and repopulating entire cities all over the place with people, kids.
Yeah, I'm a short season guy.
What's that?
I believe we're living in Satan's short season. I think it's like Revelation 12 verse 9, but the part where it says Satan's released for, like, I think it might be 500,000. That's where I believe we are in the historical timeline of events. So I'm a full preterist. I believe a lot of the Bible's already been fulfilled, and we're waiting for the third coming of Jesus. I think it's the Great White Seal of Judgment, it might be called. I think it's chapter 12 of Revelation.
Wow, I never even heard of that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the dates are definitely something to look into. The 1,000 years missing, added.
Revelation 20, verse 5 to 9. Sorry. So if you're listening and want to look into this more further, Revelation 20, you can learn where we are in Satan's short season.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've heard more than one person advocate that. Yeah, you're not the first one. I've been hearing that a lot lately.
I tend to believe that as well. There's just too much, too much to consider. That it just makes it make sense. It makes way too much sense to me the more I've thought about it the last year or two.
First time I heard of that was Evelyn brought that up here, and that was a long time ago. Yeah, so it's interesting.
You know, I love looking at old architecture because I grew up in Toronto. So like a bunch of other people, you have these old red brick buildings and you get to see the old world, but you don't really clue in until you're older and you start studying this. And it really hits you in a really unique way. And you start to appreciate all the buildings. And I live in Belize now, so we don't have any of that old world stuff. We just have Mayan temples and those types of stuff left over. But anyone who digs like 10 or 20 feet down in Belize, you can find artifacts because it hasn't really been excavated yet. So a lot of the old world stuff still makes sense to kind of the theories here as well.
So
Yeah,
I have a question for Steve. Steve, in your app, do you have the constellations too?
not all of them. So if you want every star possible, use Stellarium or Sky Safari. But what I have is it set up so the few stars that really, really matter. For example, in the northern hemisphere, I think it's Vega, Mimosa, Arcturus. Those are three really important stars that you can look at and learn how to use for celestial navigation. And likewise, in the southern hemisphere, when you're doing celestial navigation, you want to look for the Southern Cross. So that's the only star in the south. Well, that's 4 stars. But in the south, you want to look for the Southern Cross and look where it's pointing to, and that is how you determine your latitude on flat Earth. So the stars that matter to learn, yes. But if you want to map like what's on screen, Stellarium would definitely be better. Like astronomers like Joe, they don't use my app to like figure out where their nebula galaxy is in the sky. They use the professional, like a celestial almanac. We can just look up everything and know where to look.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it could be more complete model if for example this is on a website, right? It's a planisphere. Anybody can put in their location and you're going to see exactly what is the sky above them, right? So
I
there
want
might
that.
be a way to incorporate this in the map. So because here we have all the constellation and all the luminaries, and you can play around and put it ahead in time or back in time in real time, right? It moves
Yes.
with when you play with the cursor. So there could be a way to incorporate this, because this is a planisphere. This is the real sky map. This is a digital Antikythera mechanism.
It's really easy to incorporate because I made my model in a way that it has the equatorial coordinates. It's not kind of like what the Walter Bislin guy did. I can now put in any declination or right ascension from a celestial almanac. So for these here, we're really lucky with the stars because they don't wander. It's not like Mars where it will actually wander on a path that makes no sense. It's a wandering star. For the stars, it's going to be at that declination. So the distance from Polaris, the distance from the center is called celestial declination. And then right ascension is actually measured in 24 hours. So the more you study celestial mechanics, it just starts to make sense that it's all based off of a flat Earth. It really does, because right ascension is literally measured in 24 hours. So that's the rotation of it around our Earth. So yeah, I actually want to add that into my app. I've been adding so many features in recently, and I'm getting feedback from other people. But yeah, there's no reason why this can't be added. All you do is look up in a celestial almanac, find each of those stars, see the declination, and add it in. And then
it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And for if anybody wants to help support Steven, that will just be more help for him to be able to update the app with the constellations. Go if you buy the paid version of the app, would be very helpful for him.
Yeah, so test the free version today, because the promo comes in effect, I think, tomorrow, where you'll go to the pro and it'll no longer be $12. It'll only be $8. And that's just like a one-time thing, just because I have a whole bunch of audience who will get it. So it makes sense. Thank you.
And didn't Dave say he'd put it on his app too, which is really
cool.
He
wants to, because our apps complement each other. And that video I played for the pod, that little 5-minute thing, explained it better than I can. But a lot of Globers, like for example, MC Toon did a live stream where he got Dave's app and he's looking where the sun is and he's like, it's not working. But that's just
I've seen that. Yeah, he's like, the sun isn't supposed to be here.
He doesn't even understand his own model though, because on the globe, the sun still has that exact same GP or whatever, but you have to have the observer on if those mini domes confuse anyone listening, use Stellarium right now. It's a free web app, and just turn on the equatorial grid. So you can see that globe models utilize the same thing. For Toon to be confused on why Dave's app is not working means he's either intentionally lying or he just doesn't know. And that's for you to decide. I don't know. But a lot of them misrepresent it. And that's why I wanted to have this chance to talk to 200 people to say, no, Dave's app is 100% correct. Actually, every flat earth model is. The other flat earth app you guys use that has that 2D view as well, they have observers, but you can't go to Antarctica. That's still accurate. All I did is use that foundational concepts to expand it. Now we go into 3D, we see planets climbing up the firmament, we can trace positions, trace out the sun's analemma. So it's a really powerful research tool is the best way I would describe it. Anyone who's Earth for a couple years, you will love this app. The map has, and if you've seen Walter Bislin's model, the one from 7 years ago, the map doesn't even have names. Like you can't see the different places. So I really do believe I progressed flat earth science in this specific field forward by 7 years. And that's what my skill set is, software engineering. And I want to contribute as best as I can to the flat earth community by having free stuff, but then paid stuff that lets me continue to do this. For example, you might not know this, but Apple charges me $100 a year, $99 a year, even if I want to release a free app. Google does $25, but still it's me that has to pay it, even if I want to release a free app. So I've been fortunate enough to have people buying the pro version that then allowed me to get the Apple account and start purchasing the Flat Earth University subscription and licensing all this advanced software out. And it's just been really, really nice that the community does fund a lot of this stuff so that other people in other countries too, like maybe someone in India can't afford this, well, they get the free app no matter what. So it's really beautiful as the community has come together, and everyone too, as I said earlier, seeing Dave supporting this, even Eric Dubé. And I was shocked when I saw Eric Dubé shout out Joseph Hanvey and say that, yeah, this is the model you guys want to be looking at. And Joe's got like thousands of new subscribers. Even I've got a few hundred. It's nice to have you.
Bro, he got kicked off TikTok on his first post.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
It took us
for the audience, we'll follow his new profile.
What did he post?
He's back up, but
is it just a biblical focus they don't like? Because they're China, they don't want Christianity, and that's what Joe's focusing on, whereas us, we're just flat earth only? That could be the only reason I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was his first post. Yeah, you know what? I didn't think of that. It could have been. But either way, that's so wrong.
Yeah, it shocked me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Peter. The people should support with what you resonate, right? If people are seeing that there's a possibility of growing in some sector, the people should support, right? This is what the people should do. And what I think, in my opinion, should be an update for Dave's app could be like with your model and incorporating this whole planisphere in there, where people with the landing page could have this, they can put in their location and they are seeing exactly what is above them.
Yeah,
that could be an amazing update for Dave's app.
There's no flat earth apps that do that. I'm thinking of the existing flat earth apps that exist, and they don't give you this view. So that would be something really cool that I'm seriously going to work on in the schedule.
Well, hey, Steven, I just want to say, man, keep it up, bro. Your work is extremely excellent. I knew a little bit about you, but not much. So I'll be promoting you a lot right now. Just keep it up, bro. Yeah.
I saw that you shared that video, I think, of Psychedelic, but it had my model in it with the Dave McKeekins. That got like thousands and thousands of views. So yeah, thank you for that too.
Did it really?
Yeah, last I checked earlier today, it was up to like 73,000 views already or something.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And because it shows the firmament trackers in the name, a lot of people are just searching it up, and people have been getting my app. Like I've got hundreds of new downloads for the free version, maybe 10 or so for the paid. But that's wonderful. The fact that anyone actually wants to buy my app just blows my mind. It's because I do enterprise development, so it's like business to business. This is my first time dealing with the consumer, making consumer level products. So the emotional feel, even though the value is much more from the business to business, the emotional feel of knowing that instead of maybe just 5 people in a company using my software, I now have almost 1,000 people using my free app, which is just blows my mind.
That's rewarding, bro.
Well, let's hope it's hundreds of thousands in the next year or so.
Yeah, that's numbers gonna go
up. Before we continue, you want to share something else, Steve?
Someone just asked a link for my channel. I'll drop that in the chat. But no, the only other thing I'll share coming up would be a video of dome refraction. It's up to 27 minutes long, but we can only play the first 5 minutes. It's also good for a break as well because there's kind of music in the background. So you can do that at your discretion, however you want to proceed.
But yeah, I hope it's not copyright music, right?
No, let me just check. It's not going to be like Drake or Britney Spears, if that's what you're thinking. I just want to make sure I do have the copyright in the bottom. Let me check. Yes, I'm licensed by Breaking Copyright CC3. Yes. So that's 100% good. Let me go back to it. So yeah, I'll play 5 minutes of this. I guess if you guys want to take another break, I'm going to go to the washroom, turn my lights on. It's getting dark for me here in Belize. It's 5:30, so my sun starts, if you saw my background maybe 15 minutes ago, the sun was up, and now it sets pretty fast. I'm near the equator. My latitude is 17 degrees. So the way the sun works for me is a little different for you guys who might be in the United States at a 40-degree latitude.
Yeah, I'm 47. A little higher.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this video, it's 27 minutes long. We're not going to play it all for you, but I encourage you to go to my channel, click favorite, watch it later. It's going to go into dome refraction and kind of give you an overview of how I believe flat Earth science should be progressed going forward. It covers kind of the basics of everything, that toroidal geometry that psychedelics recently shows. It shows the dome refraction, why the sun is on the firmament, not in, and multiple observers. The multiple observers is something I really want to emphasize, because if you try to take what I coded and wrap it around a ball, I don't think you can still trace lines like what I have here. It just doesn't work. I've seen other people do geometrical models where they say a 24-hour sun in the south is not even possible on a globe. So that's why you may have never seen this before, but it's really, really cool to see multiple people, their grids of observations, and it's as if you're standing on the firmament looking down in space. It's really cool. So yeah, you can share the screen whenever. Perfect.
Welcome back, and make sure you're watching in 4K. This is one of the few episodes where we'll be in pure 4K high def. Normally, we're only doing it in 1080p. This time, it's not going to be more video. It's going to be pictures that we've outputted using the software. Because I custom coded this myself, I have a feature where if you push the L key, it'll actually output an 8K resolution screenshot. So that is what's on my 4K screen right now that I'm able to move around and explore, because obviously my monitor, it'd be about double the size. So it's really, really nice. What we're looking at particularly today is multiple observers. This is something that globe models can never do and never will be able to do. Stellarium can't do it, Sky Safari can't do it, and that damn Walter Bislin can't do it either. So make sure you know the difference between models. Don't let globers strawman you or lie to you. This is an extremely unique and powerful astronomical system, and with multiple observers, we really get to see how Earth's toroidal field works and operates. You can see that as observers move around, you can see how their perspective also changes, and you can see that dome refraction. That dome refraction is what we learned about last time and what we discovered in Antarctica with the final experiment for the 24-hour sun. We now know that the flat Earth model has a 24-hour sun, and it's due to the way light shines through a firmament. Now be very careful. Don't let globers strawman you and tell you it's a reflection. We've already heard that. You can listen to some of the recent live streams. Globers want to tell you how your flat Earth model is. They do that so they can misrepresent it. It's called the strawman logical fallacy. And if they're able to convince you of their lies and you fall for it, that's what they want. Do not let globers strawman this. The light is shining through the firmament. And it works perfect. And it's really cool as we see how the closer you get to the equator, you almost align yourselves perfectly with Earth's torus field. And that's why when you're at latitude 0, which is the equator, you can look left and right to see both the north celestial pole and the south celestial pole. So it's important to also pay attention to which flat earthers you listen to. If anyone tries to tell you there's no such thing as the south celestial pole, they're probably saying it to troll you for attention. Who knows? But that means their foundational knowledge of astronomy is just not there. Because, like, we have flat earthers in New Zealand and Australia who film the South Celestial Pole all the time. You can see star trails. For those of us who are senior flat earth researchers, stuff like that just sounds silly. And you can test it out yourself. The way perspective works is, one of the ways that a lot of us knew there would have to be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, because you can see as how you approach the 60-degree south parallel restricted zone, as you get into the area where you need a permit, your perspective starts to rise, and you can see how the sun, and due to the dome's refraction, would be in your field of vision. Just mathematically, without even having these visual models to look at, you can just tell that logically that makes sense. I was recently listening to senior researcher Joe Hanby, and he was describing how he was talking to someone in the South, and she saw the sun kind of going away and away, much in the exact same way that Austin and Jaron did when they were in, I think, Punta Arenas. They got to see the sun set in the south, and you could tell that already they were realizing in their head that, yeah, there's going to be a 24-hour sun, because they're smart people too. They can do the math. It's not too hard if you walk 10 degrees south. So every degree is 69 miles. It's 1 mile per, it's 1 degree per every 69 miles. So if you're walking 10 degrees, whatever that is, south, then you can know that the sun will rise 10 degrees higher. And that's exactly what happened when they did their first live stream in Antarctica. And we saw the sun, I think it was west, it was facing, like, I knew right then that the firmament trackers model has been confirmed. Everything I've been saying is true. Everything Joe Hanby's been saying is true. Everything that people have hypothesized about dome refraction has come true. Yeah, this is good, because this lets you see the 4 observers on opposite sides of flat Earth. So everyone's like facing their back to back. So like this person up here will have his back to the person way down there. So this model.
Now this is important. Pay attention to this. This is something you can only do in my model, but it helps us understand why the 24-hour sun is, and you see how it makes perfect sense depending on where the physical sun is. Matching Dave's Flat Earth app, we see the observer has it consequently rotated in the apparent 360 degrees. The geometry makes a lot of sense. I'm going to play that back one more time.
Let me see.
And pay attention to each observer. See how when the sun moves, the observer's apparent sun also changes respectively. It's so cool because this has never been done before.
And then going backwards. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So what's going to come up now will be the sun doing its complete rotation around Earth. So see that? Look at that. So you see how the perspective rotates for every observer. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. This law of perspective, you could say, holds true as the sun rotates around the great circle of Earth. This is called the zenith location. So those of you who have Flat Earth Days clock app, you can see this exact. side of the firmament. And this is a really good example when people get confused asking about the difference between the apparent and the physical. For a lot of stuff like the sun, you're never going to notice it because there's only one object. But when you're talking about a set of constellations, the 4 stars are still on the firmament, moving around once every 24 hours. But the way it refracts through, we end up seeing it as the Southern Cross as there, and on the firmament we see it as a little bit different. I didn't make this up. This is the input of what's called celestial coordinates. So it's right ascension and declination. You can use any coordinates you want, and you can see I have the exact same setup for the planets and stars. Every observer has their whole sky mapped out for what they would be seeing. Even the moon, you can even trace the dome refraction of the moon to multiple observers. So you can see right here, it's just out of perspective. It would come up into perspective, and that's exactly what we see. And how we see it looks like the sun is actually rising out of the water and setting into the water. Like you see in a sun refraction works. The research that has been done by people like Flat Earth Dave, Joe Hanvey, Stephen Alonzo, we know now what happens when you shine light through a dome. You get the 24-hour sun, and it's so exciting that the final experiment has now confirmed that. No longer do we need to wonder how exactly does flat Earth work. We know almost everything now. We have a very coherent, quantified model that puts us in a really powerful place moving forward for 2025. Yeah, just look at these angles. That's so cool.
Right angles as well. These are all right angles.
And it makes a lot of sense. So you see these arcs.
Let it play the rest. Let it play the rest, Stephen.
And
sorry?
Let the rest play on its own. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And this last part here, I've been working on a superfluid ceiling with Joe Hanvey. We want to be able to accurately represent more of the biblical principles, and he strongly believes, much that I do, that dome refraction 100% is what we're seeing. That is what we're seeing. Joe believes that there probably is a superfluid ceiling above us, and I can understand that. So I'm trying to work through a model with him. How can we represent his ideas into my ideas? Because a lot of what we're saying is 100% true. Path A to point B is going to happen, and he's now looking more at the physical mechanism for that. What causes dome refraction? What is the firmament made of? Those are all amazing questions that we can now start to look at and move forward for flat Earth science. So it's important you'll see that on the model we have the celestial objects like on the firmament. We're very clear that there is a refraction happening. Don't let anyone tell you light is inside reflecting. That's been falsified. The final experiment has falsified the idea that light is inside. It doesn't really work as well as how I would argue it has to be outside shining through. And feel free to clip these videos. You can reproduce them anywhere. I don't mind at all. I tend to put up stuff in like the bottom right corner. You see how it says Firmament Trackers Academic? So that way, if someone does see it, like 5 different shares down the line, they can kind of trace it back. If someone wants this app, they should be able to find it. Or if they want to watch the Glyphs on Ice, the final experiment documentary coming up, they'll see that as well. And the top left image, a lot of their questions will be solved, because when you start talking about perspective, people are asking why, how do you quantify it? And a lot of people are very familiar with this toroidal geometry. So in the comments, let me know what questions you guys have. I recently did this because someone was asking how would it work with multiple observers. And I also just want to show you guys how powerful the flat Earth model is. The globe can't do this. Thank you.
Awesome. So that covers that video. The next one that I'll play whenever you want a 5-minute break will be the movie trailer for the Glyphs on Ice. It is exactly 5 minutes, and whenever you're ready for the next break, just let me know and we can play that. I see a few people in the comments asking about it. So it's really, really good, and I'm excited to produce it.
Do you know when the release is going to be? Do you have a date or a goal?
Yeah, January 4th for the movie. The book will maybe be a week after. I've been writing everything down as I go, but the movie has a definite date. So that's going to be the first priority. And I'm almost done as well. I'm trying to wait for the stuff they end up releasing as well. But even if I don't get it, we still have so much footage from all their live streams. You can go to the link I just dropped, the Glyphs on Ice, and I've been organizing all their live streams there, MC Toon, Jaron, Austin. I've been following them the entire time. So with all of their footage, Critical Think, there's a lot of people who have been uploading stuff, and I'm hoping Will Duffy releases it all before January 4th. If he doesn't, we're still going to get an amazing documentary going over what they did, where they stayed, in detail as well with my insights of what I've been following, such as their GPS locations and everything. So for a lot of flat earthers who've had questions about the final experiment, this is my way to tell everyone how I think it went down. And it might end up being fake. If it's a moon landing documentary, it'll be that. But so far, everything that I've seen and looked at confirms to me it's real. But if it's fake, it'll be fake, and you'll know it in the documentary, because I'm analyzing all the shadows. There's sun simulator apps you can use to see how low and high the sun is, get those angles. Similar to what Dave said. Like, Dave's on the same page as me, except he thinks it could also be intensified. I don't really agree with that, but everything he said about it being real, they're definitely in Antarctica. So yeah, it's quite exciting.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to what you come up with, and I'm definitely looking forward to the documentary.
Even just seeing footage of Antarctica that we've never seen before, and landing the planes in, because they had 3 different cameras on each side of their Boeing. I think it was like a Boeing 747. They took pictures of other propeller planes, but I'm pretty sure what they landed in, at least the flight radar I was tracking, was this big giant Boeing, and MC Toon had a video showing it was blue that he got on. So there's so much content, and a lot of people don't want to watch MC Toon because he's offensive and it can upset you. But I'm extracting the valuable stuff from everyone. Dave McKeegan, Critical Think. So from both sides, it's not only flat Earth.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Globe side is putting out more stuff than Flat Earth. That's true.
They have their own documentary as well, although Will Duffy has not said who's producing it when it's being released. So don't get confused on my documentary thinking it's Will's. I also don't want to misrepresent that. I'm a third party entirely. I have nothing to do with Will. But the reason I'm involved is because I'm a formal participant. I won the Flat Earth Side math challenges. He called me out live from Antarctica several times, which was really exciting to hear. And that's why I'm able to now respond to that, transform it, and actually sell it. So if you want to pre-order the Blu-ray, it's only $15. It's going to go more later, but right now it'll be $15, like a full Blu-ray package. But it's free as well, January 4th. But a lot of us in the Flat Earth community, we like having the physical stuff. You know, you want the Gleason map, you want the shirt, you want the physical books. So anyone who wants the Blu-ray or the book, it's definitely going to be available as well. The math is more of the book's focus. So you watch the video maybe once or twice, but if you actually want to study kind of what I was describing earlier of, okay, how do we replicate this? You can actually see my submissions to Will Duffy for all 3 challenges. How did I calculate flat Earth distances without using the Haversine formula. Even globers are going to be interested because I only use planar trigonometry. I did very clever tricks in how I quantified the flat Earth model, but there's no spherical trig in my math, and that upset a lot of them because my answers were valid. Will could not dismiss it for being a globe model, like how he dismissed other people's submissions.
He was saying, but he was, if you want to expand on that for sure, but he was saying that you took it from the globe. He was claiming like that.
But that doesn't make it true, though. So the math and science doesn't lie. So what Will did not show you were my submissions. So we can also go over that as well if you want me to just share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Just so people know that it's there if you want to review it and see that what I'm saying is true. So the Journal of Geocentric Cosmology.org/publications, you can see each challenge as I submitted them. But for the first one here, like I'm clearly showing you the distance formula I'm using. And I also show what the globe's Haversine is. So let me see if I can zoom up on that actually. So I'm being very transparent. If you want to do a globe Earth calculation, this is the formula. This is the answer you get. But again, it's spherical trig. So on like a ball, you can have a triangle that has 3 equal sides of 90 degrees. That makes no sense to most of us on flat Earth because a 3-sided triangle has sides of 60. So the Haversine is based on flat Earth. That's pretty much all it is. They're doing spherical trig with triangles that add up to 90 degrees of 3 sides. I'm doing triangles like what we normally do that have 3 sides that are 60 degrees each and add up to 180. But I show both formulas because I want people to realize Will didn't even show this for a second because he doesn't want you to see this. I'm glad I have an audience right now of how many people are here? So 175. But this was the first one, distance formula. The second was when the sun will rise and set. So that kind of is that whole perspective, that same math that I knew of how there'd be a 24-hour sun is this exact same math. Perspective intersects at our flat horizontal plane. And that's why we have sunrises and sunsets. And so those are my submissions. And then again, I also go into the math here. The final one is for the distances between meridians of longitude. I also do a whole publication where I go into all of that. So on the website, you'll just go to publications. And let me just find one. So I can also show you amendments I did because Will might post the first PDF I did. So let me just show you an example. So see right here, December 9th, December 13th, December 22nd. As I realized errors, because if you see those formulas, you know you can't actually just type that up. You have to use like Microsoft Word, or in my case, I'm on Linux. So we use something called LaTeX. And it's just like coding, but that's how I make those formulas. So the square root sign goes across, and it's very easy, though, to make mistakes. So as I realized I made mistakes, I corrected them along, and you can see the most recent edition. Where is it from today? Because I knew I'd be on live today. So I wanted to correct one of the mistakes that people mentioned in the comments. And the final result here, because I shrunk it down, there's only about 5 lines, where if you're doing it all on paper, it'll look like this expanded, detailed calculation. But yeah, these are all PDFs. So you literally just click download. You'll have this PDF, share it with anyone. And I argue why I did everything I did. And to my best knowledge, this is the accurate flat Earth model. Oh, yeah, and there's some of the GPS as well. So last I checked, they were in Punta Arenas, but I don't know if they shut the GPS off. So some people in the chat were wondering, where are Austin and Jaron? As far as I know, the GPS tracking last showed them there. But again, this is all public as well. So I'll actually drop this in the comments. If you guys want to track Austin and Jaron right now, go for it. It's free. And this is also how people like me and Dave can confidently tell you that everything they've been doing is pretty legit. And if they're faking it, the best they did was chemtrails. So the sky would be perfectly clear to an extent that's never been before.
Yeah, you didn't see any of those down there.
And even a claim I want to address, I've seen people saying really, really silly stuff like that they're in the Las Vegas sphere, but they won't show you what the Las Vegas sphere actually looks like and how small it is. And then those same people are not watching all the live streams from people like MC2 and David, where they're somewhere walking around these tanks and airplanes. It looks like what Union Glacier Camp would be, but even if it's not, the size just can't be in the Las Vegas sphere. So I want to address that as well, since a lot of people have been trying to deny it because it is challenging. We now learn something new that challenged our previous beliefs. A lot of people, it is shocking for them, but it's really nice to see everyone on board and that we can progress Flat Earth forward in a really healthy and strong state for 2025.
What do you think about a a dome just like the one in Vegas, but somewhere else that we don't know? None of us ever really been.
I'm pretty sure they do have one. It's not in the United States. It's on the eastern side of the world.
But what they'll have to replicate, though, which is really, really hard, is that plane landing, because there's mountains in the back of the plane landing. And I don't know if you saw before from the previous thing I was sharing, you can go online and see what these mountains look like. And that's actually part of what my documentary is doing. We're seeing if they faked it, what would they have had to done and what errors are there if there's any. This is just Union Glacier. This is where their GPS said there was. So, for example, when they take a group selfie and there's 3 peaks and they say it's the Ross or whatever they said it is, Mount Rossman. Okay, I know it is. But what's going to really matter, because you could fake that. I can see how they fake that. It's going to be the plane landing, taking off in Chile, landing here in Union Glacier, constantly recording nonstop of 3 different people's cameras. So you get 3 different sides of topographical data. You can use Google Earth, any radar data, LiDAR, to see what the mountains should look like. And I don't know if they faked it. I'll find out.
So much going through my mind with this.
And it could be also pre-recorded from other previous routes and visits, right?
Oh, yeah.
What
What really matters is MC Toon's live stream. That's going to be something analyzed intensely, where he called Nathan Oakley, because we know that at least is 100% true. You're right. The flight flying in could be faked. Everything else except this, because I don't think Nathan Oakley would, unless he was paid just some ridiculous amount of money. But even then, like I hear him on his live streams, he seems completely normal, like nothing changed. He's still talking as he always has. So I don't think Nathan was in on it. I think at least MC Toon's live stream is real, and they had like these tanks and airplanes, and it looks like Union Glacier. And it's in 1080p too, because they had that Starlink. They made sure everything we got was in as highest resolution they can. So it's a lot of details. Like, the moon landing, they could fake it because the camera was so grainy. The reason they can't go back to the moon is because we would know they faked it. Much in the same way as this. I don't think they would went to Antarctica if the conclusion is that it validates the flat Earth model. Like, they would not have that compressed sun. I think Will actually was genuinely believes, because most people are genuine when they believe in the globe. So he went there like any of us did maybe 10 years ago. We didn't know better. Obviously, there's a globe. Obviously, there's going to be a 24-hour sun. He might not have expected that sun's compression. And that explains why previously we've only ever had edited footage. If you're a government agency and you accidentally record that, you can't publish it. You have to kind of mess with it so that no one knows that the sun compresses around 80 degrees south latitude. No one's ever been to 80 degrees south latitude to even see this. And then the people who keep on bringing up that all the previous footage is faked, I agree with you. This is why they have to fake it. They have to cut out. It might be 3 hours. I don't know, but it goes for maybe 4 hours. You'd have to cut out if you're going to release 24-hour sun footage. I wish Joe was here, but I'm glad I was able to actually present his model and play that other 5-minute video by Eric Dubé going into it.
Yeah, you wanted to play for the next break if you want. Yeah, go ahead.
For what? The Glurfs on Ice movie or Joe's model?
Yeah, the Glurfs on Ice.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's watch the trailer.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this, man. I want to make sure it's intent. Okay, sweet.
Glurfs on Ice. The movie, featuring Jared, Austin, MC Toon, and Will Duffy. Three flat earthers and 6 globe earthers have left for Antarctica to conduct a once-in-a-lifetime experiment to validate the flat earth model by witnessing the 24-hour sun. All 9 of them were given GPS trackers. We're monitoring their every position, data points collected in real time.
Hey everyone.
You signs up tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be here before we know. We gotta get up super early. Should be fun. Looking forward to it. There's a opportunity to distract on it. So relax. Say hi to everybody.
Hey guys.
Here is the KLE plan that we're going to play on the 757 all the way. And we got the whole thing here.
We used the flight radar to track when they left Punta Arenas. The best part of this was that it wasn't just the flight radar data we were relying on. We had the official GPS, but we also had 9 people with our own GPSs. So we could compare the data, and if anything was different, we would know.
Hey, I'm very excited to announce the first of 3 TFE challenges. These challenges are going to allow each side, flat earth and globe, to make predictions based on their respective models. And then we will see which side's predictions were most accurate. Now, the first challenge has to do with our flights to South America. We will all fly on a very long, non-stop flight to Santiago, Chile. And our participants will fly to Santiago from 4 different airports. So for this challenge, you need to submit your predictions concerning the sun in Punta Arenas, Chile. Now, these should include sun angles at sunrise and sunset, and also sunrise and sunset times. So for TFE challenge number 3, I need you to submit predictions for the distance between meridians, between lines of longitude, specifically at Punta Arenas 53 degrees south. And once again, please show your math or your method. His results were almost identical to all of the globe entries, which did not make sense. So I started looking at his math, and I noticed a very interesting number, 6,371 kilometers. His formula that he used included this very specific number of 6,371 kilometers. That just so happens to be the exact average radius of the globe.
Yeah, so that's it. And I also have the copyright for that music. It's not actually the original Halo. It's reproduced by someone himself. So again, if you get any copyright strikes or anything, just let me know. I can even sign over everything. We're an LLC in Wyoming, so we're all set up to do this production. But I'm glad. Yeah, so that's the trailer. If you guys want to see Glurfs on Ice, go to my YouTube channel under the live. Just click notify me. And I also dropped the link for the Blu-ray. So if you want to help support this project, this $15, then you'll have what I consider a really cool thing going forward, because they did prove the flat Earth model, and that's one of the things that they don't like.
And the documentary
too.
How long is the documentary so that the people?
90 minutes. It'll be 90 minutes long. 1080.
Popcorns. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know, it's nice. It'll be family friendly too. There's not going to be any swearing or anything. It'll be focusing on pretty much what you saw, that type of stuff there.
Nice. So people, yes. So it's gonna be on the Journal of Geocentric Cosmology channel, right?
Yes, I'll drop a direct link right now for the stream, just so people can go to it.
Nice. So people watch out, right?
Yeah, it's good because it's going to be misrepresented. When they release their documentary, it's going to be showing how they proved the globe. That's what they've already come to that conclusion. So it's important for all of us. You know how like other people have released flat Earth documentaries. It's something really good that we can do, and I've always wanted to do that. I've had a lot of success doing my book, so with my existing audience, I now want to release that documentary. And then recently, with all my success with the final experiment being exposed now to a whole new audience, where people such as Dave, Mark Sargent are noticing that this model is really good and should be used. So right now, the free Android app, I need to make it so it's for Apple. The code base is the same, but the way you compile to a deployment is different, and Apple is actually quite difficult. So in about 2 weeks, maybe 3, because the documentary is more priority, there will be an iOS version released for free as well. So I'm quite excited to have this model going forward. Let me just put that link in the chat before I forget. So this link here is the Glurfs on Ice live stream. You can favorite it and click notify me ideally. So in like 2 weeks, you'll just get an email. Yeah.